think we're live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. You're here with Rhonda, or Lady Rose, sometimes people call me, of Goddess Garage, and
Kayla. Yep, I'll go with Kayla.
yep.
I tried a moniker, it didn't work.
And we're here doing the star card for Tarot Delights, our tarot podcast. It's weird, like it has to be off center in order to be
does.
centered.
But I can't buy that because that's perfect.
Oh, well, we can get another one in.
So she's using a really nice little altar table as our prop for the stand. And it works perfectly.
To get up a little higher for us, which is awesome.
Right, that
Awesome,
is very off center.
Yeah, right?
Okay,
It's
sorry.
weird.
Things I don't notice and then I do, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm
In
gonna...
order to get us centered for you, it has to be way over there. Which
To
makes
the
no
right,
sense.
to the right.
Exactly.
How's everyone doing? It's Monday. It's close to... Normally we do we do this now. 5 p.m. on a Monday.
Yeah.
But that's our
yeah.
time.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. And she has a moon circle she's doing tonight. So, full moon circle in Leo, which actually officially happens on Wednesday night. But
Mondays are my best night.
yeah,
As far
Mondays,
as availability.
you know, you figure it out, and Mother Nature and Grandmother Moon work with you. You know, so they'll be prepped for when the full
Yes.
moon actually starts, because she gives us 3 nights. A lot of people don't realize, if you look on your calendar and you see when the full moon is, that's the first night of the full moon. There's 3 nights of the full moon.
And then the energy, so, because I was going to be like 3 nights before, 3 nights after, and then that's the whole week. But that's not exactly true, is it?
No, because every station, like every phase of the moon is 3 nights. So the new moon is 3 nights, and then the first quarter moon is 3 nights. Now there's in between, like gibbous, you know, and that sort of thing, right? So each phase has its own name, depending on how itty bitty you want to get in nitty gritty into the details of
Well,
it.
yeah, it's interesting.
But
too.
they're all 3 nights. Well, basically, technically 2.5, sometimes a little over 2.5. But I just say 3 nights because it makes it easier for math.
Fair.
You
Math.
know.
Let's
Math.
not make math hard.
I mean, technically, there should be, back when they first started measuring time, they actually had 13 months.
Well, in every month would have been 28 days. I think that's how it would have worked, right?
Yep.
And it should still be that way, but it's not. And
But it became a man's world
that's a different topic for a
because
different time.
it was a woman's world. And every 28 days, much like our moon timer period, was a changing of a season and all that kind of stuff. But then it became a man's world, and then they started doing the whole 12 months of the year. I mean, July and August are both named for Roman emperors. So, you know, there you go.
Yeah. So we are doing. Sorry, I'm looking at the full moon tarot spread because it's full moon in Leo,
Oh, okay.
so that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, the lioness.
So where's our power going on this full
Yeah.
moon and like.
And
how-
remind the women in your circle that they are lionesses. And the lioness is actually stronger than the lion, as much as the lion's the king of the jungle.
Yeah, but the queen does a lot of the shifting, does she not?
She does. She does all the work too.
Yeah.
You know, I always say don't think the power is the person sitting in the throne. It's the person behind the throne whispering into the king's ear that has the power and influence.
So you gotta be careful.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of male and female and all that good stuff, we are talking about the star card. So tonight we are in the second half of the light of tarot.
Okay.
Because tarot starts out light, then goes dark. We've got your death, your tower, your, you know, all the things that happen. And then through the darkness, you see the star.
Yeah.
And she comes. And she's very well balanced because a star is actually male energy because it's a sun.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because the sun is a star.
Yeah. And it's usually a woman that's doing some kind of ritual. And it's night, which is more feminine than masculine. And there's water involved. And it's about filling your 2 vessels with water. She's
I
often
always found it.
pouring them out. Maybe she's rinsing them. I don't know what she's doing.
She's doing them for the next ritual.
That's right.
I always found it interesting that she's specifically pouring into water and on land.
Yes, yeah. Very much like temperance. And St. Michael has 1 foot on the land and 1 foot in the water. So yeah, it's sort of reminiscent of that balance of being on land and water at the same time. So this is the star card from the new gilded tarot deck that I have. I just think it's so pretty. You know?
It is very pretty. I love the coloring.
Yeah.
You could totally get into like color magic with that deck.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. But this is the more traditional one. Now, does your ultimate tarot deck tell us why there's a tree and a bird? Because this really reminds me of Cinderella. Because in one of the original Cinderellas,
The tree on a hill.
yeah,
Like a mountain with the peak in the background, the tree is and its roots and the crown stand for the connection between heaven and earth,
okay.
and for the gradual union of microcosm and macrocosm.
Oh, that makes sense. Because in the original Cinderella, or one of the original ones, now granted, Cinderella is the most popular fairy tale that can be dated back to the 4th century, I believe. And it definitely cuts across all cultures.
Okay. Yep.
Every culture has a Cinderella story. Even the Mohawks have a Cinderella story. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. But in one of the first ones, she, as you know, she loses her mother and she plants a tree where her mother's buried. And her mother says, whenever you need help from me, just come to the tree and shake it. And it's birds that are messengers for her and bring her the dress and the clothes and the shoes. And
So it also says, so speaking of the bird, the long beak is indicative of an ibis.
oh yeah, Ibis.
Ibis, the ancient Egyptians worshipped the god Thoth and Greek Hermes,
yeah.
and it represented him with the head of Ibis, and Ibis also guided Noah after the Great Flood. So again, crossing those cultural
Yeah, yeah.
representations.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because when Noah first wasn't sure, can we leave the ark? It was a bird that brought him the branch of a tree. And even the Egyptians have a Cinderella story.
Wow, we should do. Okay, so when we're done tarot, we're going to dive into fairy tales.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's a lot of history in fairy tales for sure. So yeah, the star card. Hopeful card, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stars.
See, that just bugs my, it has to be 5 and 10.
Okay, does it say why there's 8?
I don't know. Jugs, fires, water.
There's 8 on this one.
Light blue sky, large bird. The 8-pointed star. So it says why there's an 8-pointed star. The 8 points of the star are reminiscent of diamonds, and the diamond is the ancient symbol for pure, true, clear, and the purged core of the soul. It is indestructible and an inalienable essence that resides in every person. So basically, it's that pure thing that you cannot get rid of.
Right, right. And 8 is basically the symbol of infinity.
Switching 8 around, and you got the infinity symbol.
So that's funny how it ties in with the magician then and the strength card. And diamonds, yeah, they,
Yeah.
can't go wrong with diamonds, right? Diamonds are a girl's best friend, as they say. That's why traditionally the man that buys you the diamond ring to get engaged with you usually gives 2 months of salary towards the diamond ring. It's so that you always have walking around money, basically. Should you be in a dire need to have to leave that situation, you can go and pawn your diamonds.
Yeah, so good thought. Hopefully that's true, but there's no way you'll actually get like that cost back.
No. However, with my diamond ring, my diamond engagement ring,
Yes, yours are special.
mine are special. I've never had a jeweler not offer me cash on the barrel when they've seen the ring. Because they're almost perfect diamonds,
Which is very hard to do.
which is very hard to do and definitely worth more than 2 months worth of salary
So-
that my husband was making at that point.
Slightly tangent, tangential. Facebook Marketplace, because I don't pay for anything full price anymore. Just
Yeah.
because I'm like, why did I not discover this sooner? A lot of rings going on.
Oh,
a lot
yeah?
of like a lot of like
wedding
wedding rings, engagement rings. I don't know. Like I know a little bit is the algorithm. Like the more you look at something, the more it's gonna
Yes.
feed you.
Yeah.
But
yeah. If you go
Like-
searching for lazy boy chairs, suddenly you're gonna have nothing but lazy
nothing
boy
but.
chairs.
And now that I've talked about rings, my phone's probably gonna show me.
Yeah, right? It I swear to God they're listening.
Oh, 100%. 100%. We're not conspiracy theorists here, but there are like base things that I'm like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, right? It's like, oh my God. Because, yeah, you're right. You can talk about anything, and suddenly it's showing up in your feed, and you're like, I just talked about it.
Well,
I
that's
just
done.
whispered about it.
See, like Josh and I used to watch TV in his office, and so we'd talk about things, and it's nothing he's ever searched before, and we just talk about it, and then it'll come up in his like, when searching for stuff, it'll be like the targeted ad.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm just
Wow.
like, yeah, they're totally listening.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. But the star card is also one of the hope cards, right?
Yes, that's what it's encourages to find where we are and what our contribution to the cosmos may be. So it is a very hopeful card, and trying to get you to remember that you have dreams and hopes, and we want you to go after them. So if you see this card, go after your dreams.
Yeah, yeah. And we're all made of stardust, and we go back to
100%.
stardust, you know?
100%.
Because I know in native beliefs, they believe that every star is a campfire,
Oh, that's cool.
that one of your ancestors is sitting around. and
Yeah.
so, and there's something to, like, we have to cross the Milky Way, and that's a bridge to
get to the
the campfires of the,
Oh, I like that.
the universe,
I
which is
know.
kind of cool.
I know Marvel did a weird, so like, I go more like Norse pagan, but not the like. Anyway, so Thor will travel with goats on a road, and
Oh.
that's how he gets across the cosmos.
Okay. Yeah, goats know how to get across things. Yeah, they're always jumping on stuff and climbing stuff.
Oh, and they can go sideways. Like it's insane watching. Have you ever?
Yeah,
seen-
where there's like a rock wall.
and they're just like, hey yo.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how are you climbing that?
Yeah.
And I'm talking a sheer rock wall. I'm not talking a built rock wall where there might be little foot
No.
or hoof, fixins for people, but no.
I would need fixins for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not about to scale something like 90-degree vertical.
Yeah, no. And I don't understand. Like, I had a friend of mine who was a huge rock climber. Loved it.
Good for
And,
them.
and yeah, he, had camped on the side of things. I'm like, no, I want solid ground under me or
I
something.
am all for jumping out of a plane. Like
Oh.
if it's like you gotta push me almost because I
Yeah.
went. So this was like 10, 15 years ago. My friend that I was living with at the time, he was like, I want a derby car for the next race. And I'm like, okay. So, but to teach me how to drive, he would get us lost and I would have to get us home.
Oh.
So he would just like not look at where he was going, not look at the road,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like not
but
pay
not pay
attention
attention.
where we were going. And then he'd stop the car suddenly because I'd be looking out for like derby cars for him. So I wasn't necessarily paying attention where we were going either. And he'd be like, all right, get us home. And I'm like, what? And then one summer we found one of the old train bridges was not in use anymore. So we decided it wasn't that much of a climb because it was a rock like hill and then the
okay.
train bridge. And we jumped into the river but he had to like go as if he was gonna like come at me and take me with him into the
okay.
water. But I actually jumped on my own, but only when someone was coming at me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like
okay.
I'm not afraid of heights. I just need like that little push.
Right. I used to not be afraid of heights, but as you get older, you get a little more cautious.
Fair. Well, and it's also I've learned because I'm with the kids, and like today, one of my kidlets did not want to sit at their desk and work,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I just want work out of you. So if you need to sit in the floor, if you need to sit in the hallway, I don't care.
You're right.
And
as long as the work happens.
Yeah, as long as the work happens. So we were sitting on the carpet, and I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna get up out of that. You know, you're getting there when.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whenever I get down on the floor, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be down here for a while, so make it worth my while.
No. Hey, work got done. We were happy. No, and that's no. I love the fact that the stars, that one of the hope cards. Mm-hmm. There's not many.
No, not really. There's the star card, I know. What are the other ones? I think there's 3 altogether.
Okay.
The tower is weirdly one of the star cards because it's the hope of the rising from the ashes.
So like it happened, we're falling down, but then we're gonna rise up.
yeah,
Kind of like that Phoenix moment.
yeah.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
it is
that makes sense.
named the Phoenix card. Mm-hmm. And like I said, this is the main hope card, but I think there's 3 altogether.
We'll have to.
If I could think about them, I'm too distracted by my freezing in my mouth. It's starting to come out now.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, now this feels very weird.
Yeah, that moment where you're like,
My whole face, my lower face is sort of pins and needles right now.
It's not a fun feeling.
No. And if front teeth cavities they actually had to fix this tooth because it was cracked. There was no cavity, but it was thinning.
And if you leave it, it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah, so they had to, so they're sticking like, are you sticking toothpicks up here? Because that's what it kind of feels like. It's like, oh my God. But I'm here to do the podcast nevertheless.
Can't say she's not dedicated.
That's right. Oh my goodness. And where's your star card
So
from?
this is This Might Hurt Tarot. This is one of my main decks. So she's
Yeah.
she's a little nude.
There's quite a bit of nudity there.
Yeah, but she's still got the like your main focus star in
Yeah.
there, and she doesn't have
No,
the
there-
like tree or the
Yeah.
She's got storks. No,
but this is all nude. Like even this one, she's
she's covered, but she's
the
not.
she's the most clothed. There,
Yeah.
she's clothed like J-Lo.
Yes, so barely clothed.
Exactly. But otherwise, everyone else is pretty much nude. They just aren't showing up full frontal like that one.
Yeah, I find that interesting because we were talking about a deck. Did we mention this last week too? Like I'm sleeping with it under my pillow, so I haven't really kept it with me all week, which is not the greatest. I
Okay.
keep forgetting to throw out my work bag. You were saying that like in that deck, everyone you would think should be naked, like the star card isn't, but then
right.
people who shouldn't be are.
Yeah. It's funny. There's a lot of bare-chested men in it. Now, this one has a blue jay in the corner.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Because I know she has birds too.
Yeah.
Does she have any birds? Yeah, she has birds. Well, she has a bird.
Yeah, she's got
And then the hint of a tree.
Okay,
So
so
a
she's
bird
got a
and
little
a
bit
hint of a tree there.
where there she's got more like pussy willows and
Yeah,
creek foliage
yeah. And then 3 cranes.
and the
Type.
cranes. Yeah, crane type birds. Mm-hmm. And then yeah.
Or they're whippoorwills. or
And then
something.
17 being based down to 8, and that's strength, is it not?
And there's 8 stars. So.
Ooh, maybe that's why there's 8 stars.
Yeah.
Because it boils
Yeah.
down to the numerological significance.
Of 8.
Sorry, that was playing.
Where
with-
there's strength, and the magician has the infinity symbol. Is there any other cards that have the infinity symbol?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Depending on who made the deck.
But again, you said that this is to remind us of our connection to heaven and earth, and the magician who has the infinity symbol.
Is as below,
is-
so below.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
the first card that reminds us of the connection. That we're both earthbound, but we also belong to the heavens.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Lots to think about.
Yes, lots to think about indeed. And this one almost has like the full, like the moon phases, right?
See, I like tarot that does that because it gives you another layer, right? I'm still trying to figure out a way, and I'm gonna have to write it in on my decks, and that's why I have a mass market copy of this one. I think this might become my working deck. Is I want to put in the chakras, right? Because like some decks will have the chakras in there, and then that's another layer you can add to. But then I just don't know which system to go by because there's a ton of decks and different interpretations of which card is which chakra.
Right. Well, the star card I would think would be the one above our crown. Because it's 8, right? And we have 7 chakras from root to crown, and then there's that 8th one.
Well, there's an 8th one, and then there's also like an earth star chakra too. So there's like you have 8, 9, and I feel like there's one more above. So like crown chakra,
There's 3.
this one, and then there should be another one. So there's 3 on the top, and then I don't know. It depends on how deep you want to go. I'm still kind of exploring my
I know there's
outside of 7.
7 main ones.
7 main ones, which are very standard.
Yeah.
But then depending on how and which way you want to dabble, it can add or subtract.
Yes. Yes.
So it's really interesting.
Very interesting. Yes. We don't seem
We
as
don't seem
excited.
chatty tonight. Yeah.
I know. We're not chatty. We're not as like the star card's exciting, but it's like, yeah, there's the star card. I mean, I love it when it shows up in a reading.
Yeah, I think it gives a sense of. So if you have a reading that's a little dark, a little 10 of swords, and the star card shows up, you can definitely double down on the fact that there's hope coming and there's
Light at the end of the
light
tunnel.
at the end of the tunnel for
Yeah.
sure.
So I always like it when it shows up because I know then whatever you're going through, whatever your situation is, this too shall pass, as everything does change. However, the star card is just that extra little bit of sort of the divine, the angels, whatever saying, keep pushing, keep going, because you're almost there.
Well, that reminds me, as you were talking, so, and I've seen it a number of times, but it sticks in my brain because, like, my undergrad was rough, but I got through it. But, like, you know that point where you're, like, you're digging a hole and you want to give up because you're not reaching where you want to be? And
Yeah.
then, like, the thing you want is, like, just 5 feet before.
Yes, I've seen that
So it's
sort
like,
of meme.
yes,
type
it's
thing.
it's a meme, it's a thing, but it sticks in your brain because it's very powerful in the sense that keep going.
Yeah.
It will get better. I know it doesn't look like it right now, and like it looks like everything's all lost, but if you can just keep.
But it's always darkest just
the-
before the
yeah.
dawn, right? And it's true. If you've ever stayed up all night with anybody, you know it gets really dark. And then it's boom, suddenly the sun's coming up and
Yeah.
you're both surprised if you've ever spent a night talking to somebody.
Yep. Or if you work midnights.
Or if you
you'll
work
get
midnights.
off at just after sunset.
Yeah.
Or sunrise, sorry. Not
Yeah,
sunset.
yeah. And you're like, whoa, the sun's coming out. Like, how late is it? Kind of thing. And it's like, it's the start of a new day, which is always a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah, and it really gives you. I'm thinking of there's a couple of mornings that I ended up working the really early morning shift, and it's like dark as I was walking to work because it was winter, but it was so peaceful.
Yes.
And then as I got to work, the sun was starting to peak, and it was just really like. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a morning person, and my God, it was hard. But for that little moment where I could just go, huh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah. There's, and it doesn't matter. Like, it seems where you are. Like, you could be having a good time in life, you could be having a bad time. But when you see the crack of that first, sunlight coming back, there's something so joyful in that.
There's also warmth in that too, because even with our our very sub-zero temperatures we've been having, I'm okay with going out on yard duty even though it's cold because the sun's out,
Right.
and it makes such a difference.
It does. It does.
So
Yeah.
you want that warmth, and that warmth brings that kind of joy. And depending on what you're doing and how you view the sun, it really kind of brightens your day, and there's something innate about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why animals go into their caves and hibernate during the darkest part. We should do that as well. Yes, exactly.
Can we just not
Everyone should know that Canada just shuts down.
for January, February, or December, January, February.
I'd say the first day of winter, like do our
21st?
Christmas thing.
Yeah, do our Christmas thing. Okay.
And then come the new year, Canada's just, asleep until February-ish.
It's February-ish,
Yeah.
depending on the weather.
Yeah,
I like it.
exactly. Exactly. Because I was just looking
If
up.
only, eh?
I know, right?
Oh, man.
I was just looking up about not St. Patrick, St. Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yes.
And this is the deadline, by the way, for the Galentine tea. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, no one's signed up yet.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, I thought there'd be a big, hey,
why
let's do
not?
this,
Yeah.
right? But maybe it's not everybody's thing, because it does come mid-winter. Like for Canada,
That
a lot
is
of
very
people
much midwinter.
are like, oh, it'd be nice to have Christmas snow, blah, blah, blah. We're having a pretty green Christmas or a green winter so far. It's like, we haven't hit February yet, like back in December, right? February is the big month. The end of January, February, and the beginning of March are the big months for snow.
Has it lived up to that?
Exactly. So I'm like, why are we celebrating love in the middle of
Well, again,
winter?
does it work on the Christianization
It does.
of our calendar?
Absolutely.
Out of curiosity, not because this happened. Or no, like it is what it is. This like the calendar we run with is the calendar we have. But I feel like it's not Ostera. Is it? No, Imbolc is February 1st.
Yeah, or second, depending.
Depending on the
Time
where it
of
falls.
year, yeah.
But what's Valentine's Day? I feel like
It is a
Ostera?
Christian thing, but it's been commercialized into
Yeah.
buyer lover
Yeah.
candies and chocolate and stuff. But yes, because I'm a big history buff, so I was looking it up because of course I like to give historical tidbits.
Tidbits are great.
Yes, so go to Goddess Garage, you'll hear all the tidbits, but I'll give you a preview. So St. Valentine's Day, he was martyred. He was an actual priest.
Oh yes. Okay.
And he was martyred for marrying Christian couples.
Oh, okay. When it was
because-
like outlawed at the time.
Yeah, because Christianity was a big bad, we're throwing them to the lions kind of thing.
Which is interesting because Christianity ended up being the dominant religion.
Yeah,
But at some point
they
it
were
was-
once very persecuted, extremely persecuted. You could go to death because of being a Christian and eaten by a lion. Who knows, right? So
As
he,
we enter the full moon in Leo.
yeah, so he was actually a priest and he got murdered. He was beaten first. Now on my post, I'm going to talk about he was beheaded. So he was beaten. That didn't work. They were trying to club him to death, and then they ended up beheading him.
Like, all right, so torture isn't working.
Yeah, exactly.
Cut his
so
head
they
off.
beheaded him on February 14th, like 269 or
Yeah.
something like that.
So because some guy died, we've commercialized into showing your love.
Yes, and it's been before it got into quadruple digits, so around 367 or something. I've got the exact dates on the Goddess Garage group. I'll have them up on that day actually because I just posted it. But we've been celebrating it back in the 300s kind of thing since then.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it was a feast day for Saint Valentine. Now, there was a pope also named Valentine, and I explained why Valentine was such a popular name because of the Latin meaning of it. So,
Okay.
So not to be confused with the Pope Valentine, who only was a pope for 40 days, but
That's almost like nothing.
yeah, he came in August, he was gone by October.
We don't like you anymore. Get out.
Well, apparently it was very common for popes to be poisoned. So they often had people that would,
Hi.
hello. They also often had usually a family relative that was also in the clergy. Although Pope Valentine was the first pope that wasn't even a priest.
Oh, that's
He
interesting.
was, made a priest
After the fact, but
Yeah.
before gaining the popeship,
Yes.
he wasn't a priest.
No.
Ooh,
That happened on occasion. I think there's only 2 or 3 occasions where that actually happened.
because they stand on like ritual and precedence.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Like,
But I mean, they also, it was very corrupt.
oh, 100%. They still are.
Well, still are, but very much so back in the day. Once it became an established
Well, and
Once
it's
one
like-
of the Roman emperors, I can't remember who the first one was, converted on his deathbed. And whatever the
okay.
emperor was, all of Rome became.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, and I find it interesting because there was nobody to check them at that time.
no, and the word nepotism comes from
Ah.
the election of the Pope, because he often had a nephew, and in Latin it translates into nepotism. So the nephew, they were treated like kings, and
Yep.
monarchies treated them as such as well. And he often had a nephew that would sleep in a room next to him in the same luxury that the Pope was given. But the nephew was the guy that often tasted his food, so that if
Yep.
there was any poisoning happening,
They would poison the nephew rather than the Pope.
yeah.
Interesting. I
Because
mean,
that was a common thing back then to poison people.
I'm really glad that's not common anymore.
It's not, but it still is in Russia. Because there was even a few years ago. some-
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Age-old way of getting rid of people. Just
Yeah.
poison them.
Well, there's a bunch of like crime drama stories because I'm rewatching Criminal Minds right now.
Oh, okay.
And it's not in Criminal Minds, but it reminds me of like other things. Like they'll do a story on something, and then I'll be like, oh, that reminds me of, and then like 5 steps later, I'm thinking about someone who.
Well, they used to have really big rings.
and then it's the poison.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
dropping
keep
them.
and drop it in there because they could do it surreptitiously, you know? And that's where cheersing became a thing.
So that you would slough in either or. So then
You would
yeah.
hit, so you would splash into each other's cup so that you would prove that it is not poisoned.
Yep.
And now we just do it because we're wishing each other well.
And as we should.
But it comes back from the days of poisoning.
Interesting the things that have stayed with us. But it's a self-preservation thing, so that would make sense that it would still keep going.
Right, right. Have you ever watched Princess Bride?
Yes.
When he-
Yes.
The switcheroo.
You'll lose track. You're like, which one is which?
Is that your final choice? Not even close.
My God, Princess Bride is great.
Yeah, all of Princess Bride is hilarious. I love when he's in the bed and he's totally paralyzed, but he's telling the guy how he's gonna kill him. It's like,
The same person, the Enigma. Sorry, I'm gonna butcher the name. Manny Paquin
yeah,
played Enigma. I can't say it.
yeah. No, I know. Who you're talking-
Montoya.
Yes, yes.
They're like, you killed my father. I avenge you,
Yes.
or I avenge him, or whatever.
Yeah, he was
Is-
avenging his father the whole time.
And it's actually, I found a video. He was at a con recently, or did a talk somewhere, because I don't think he does many anymore. Mm-hmm. And he actually recited those lines, and the audience went nuts.
Oh, I guess
Yeah.
they would. Oh my gosh.
To be there to hear that.
Yes, yes. As you wish.
He's pretty celebrated stage actor, I think, too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think he is, if I remember correctly.
So I'm rewatching Criminal Minds, so he's in the first couple seasons. Of that,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, he's in there too. Yeah, and apparently he's a really good piano player, I think, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Many hidden talents.
Definitely.
I always love when people can play an instrument. It sends me in awe of that person. Especially if they can just pick it up and play it. My husband's a little like that. He's not, like, oh, he can just sit down and play anything, but he has a knack for just being able to pick up an instrument even when he has never played.
Oh,
and to
that's
be able to
interesting.
hit some notes and
Notes
stuff.
that- yeah.
And I'm like, that's so cool. Whereas I have to be taught every single note. My music teacher would say, as long as I can hear it, I can play it. He could play me something, I could play it back to him. But if you just set me on my own to play, I'd be like,
I loved playing. So my mom worked at a private school for years, and luckily there was another piano because the one in the chapel was kind of like for good. So it's like, don't touch the one in the chapel.
right, yes.
But there was definitely one in some sort of practice room that I would always try and find because I'd always go on the weekends. So there'd be no like official school.
Right.
So yeah, and I would just dabble. And some people were like, "Do you take lessons?" I'm like, "No."
Haha, nice.
No, not at
nice,
all.
Nice.
But I can never. So like to play around would be great, but like to try and teach me is like pulling teeth.
oh,
Like it just
okay.
does not stick.
Oh, I'm better
I
if I'm
love it.
taught and I can do a little by ear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't just sit down and some people can just sit down and kind of play out a note or two. And
As long as it's one hand or the other. I can't do both together.
Oh,
For some
okay.
reason, my brain doesn't cross hemispheres.
Yeah.
I wish it would.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to do some music lessons again, but I just got to find the time, right?
Yeah, that's the problem, is the time.
Yeah, because when you start to learn a musical instrument, they say you should treat it like eating. You have to do it every day.
Yep, 100%.
And it's like, yeah, they're not wrong.
No.
I played the French horn in high school.
See, I played the flute in high school.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So I still have one, and I still have a ton of music, and every so often I will bring it out. But they're right. It is like the only way I remember how to play is the stuff I've memorized.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then other than that, I'm like, okay, which key is this in? And then I have to remember how to transpose, and oh my God.
Yeah, reading music is a skill, and I think it's a skill that is underrated.
It's fun though when you get it. Like I could probably do about 3 different scales without trying. As far or keys, sorry, not scales.
Oh, okay.
Keys.
Yeah.
Because scales are just like a sequence of notes. Yeah. And so, but like when you start, so flute plays a lot above the register.
Yeah.
And so when you start getting like 5 or 6 lines above, I'm like, okay, what note is that again?
Yeah. See, French horn was in the bass.
Oh, you're
realm.
on the other end of the
Yeah,
yeah, you're in
yeah.
like below the register
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. So we can outblow anybody.
Oh,
and
100%.
even the trumpets, the
Yep.
obnoxious trumpets.
It's funny how that's a thing. Regardless of where you learn music, however you divide your orchestra, the stereotypes are true.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I never told you, like, my experience with our rather arrogant trumpets. And you just said rather,
Obnoxious
obnoxious
trumpets.
trumpets. I'm like, yep, 100%. Ours was also the brass. The trombones were rather obnoxious.
Oh, they could be,
Yeah.
yes. But they've got a cooler factor than the
Yeah.
trumpets do.
Yeah.
Because my husband bought a trumpet because he wanted to learn how to play
play.
trumpet. I'm like, you bought an effing trumpet? Seriously? I'm disappointed. I'm so disappointed.
You should have done a lending library. We have a lending library in Kingston.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you can lend it, you can borrow it and learn how to play it and then bring it back if it doesn't work out.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, who knows?
It'll save you money in the long run.
Yeah. I guess it wasn't too expensive, though.
No, they can run secondhand pretty okay.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of brass. Like, the French horn always costs more because there's so much brass. I think it's supposed to be a ridiculously long thing if you lay it all out.
Oh yeah, that's right, because it's all curled and nicely eloquent.
It's like half a mile of piping or something stupid. I'm not sure if that's I
Don't
know
quote
it's-
us.
Yeah, don't write it in stone or anything. But yeah, and she's the loudest when she
believe
wants to be.
100% believe it. Because if it's played wrong, you'll know it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. But we're often keeping the beat with the drummers, right?
Yep.
So we're
You are.
playing the same tone, and I liked that. It was cool. But when we have a solo, it's so beautiful. The French horn is thick and just creamy in its sound. It's like just, oh yeah, so nice. Not sharp and annoying and obnoxious like those trumpets.
Oh, the good old trumpets. You play the trumpet. We're not trying to diss you.
No, we're not, but
just-
you know who you are.
Yes. That's hilarious.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. So I think, it's not a required course in school. I mean, I guess
It should be.
In grade school, I guess you do.
Well, no, and it's not
used-
not even in grade school because I
Oh.
grew up with a music program and Kingston's hit and miss
Oh.
depending on what school because they don't have enough music teachers.
Oh.
So it's more visual art and drama based, and then you have to pay in order to do music because unless it's like ukulele. Like a friend of mine is a teacher, and she actually is in elementary, and she borrowed a set of ukes from the high school,
Oh, okay.
so she was able to teach her class.
Nice.
Yeah, so it depends on the teacher, depends how passionate they are about music. Unfortunately, music is not required anymore, which makes me very sad.
Yeah, because it's an optional course in high school. And yeah, you either went down the music route or the art route.
Yeah.
It seemed like visual art kind of thing.
Or drama.
Or drama.
Yep.
That's true. That's true. And I went down the music road, whatever you want to call it.
I kind of dabbled in music theater and music.
Oh, okay. I dabbled in theater, but behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I got my makeup artistry.
Nice.
start.
Started, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I did. I did the makeup for a few plays. Mm-hmm. And yeah, little did I know.
That would eventually be your bread and butter for a while.
Yeah, exactly. So there you have it. So it's good to get into these things and to have well-rounded people, both in all forms of art. And I think all of them should be at least presented and mandatory to at least try.
Well, and I agree with you there. So, like, I wouldn't be the person I am today without music, without music classes, without being exposed to music theater and orchestras and going to see professional performances like Phantom and Les Mis and things like that. But I also understand the catch-22 of the budget, right? So it's like, it sucks. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you're gonna, and this is more like U.S. based, because U.S. is very sports and less art. But if you're gonna cut the art, be equal on the other side. That's my point.
I think it's all very important.
It is, because art is also math.
Yeah,
Right?
music is also math.
Music is 100% math, which is funny because I always understood music. Do you think I could have
Yeah.
math and me don't mix?
Yeah, exactly. I can understand music math.
Yeah. It's a very different kind of math.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's sad that we're getting to the point where we're all so busy we can't take the time, or we don't make the time, I guess.
We don't make the time, but also it all depends on mentally where are you at. Like, there is the hierarchy of needs, and if you're in survival, you're not going to have the mental acuity or brain capacity to go practice an instrument or to learn how to read music. You know what I mean? It's the same you could say for tarot and reading.
Or to do art, or to do even sports and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can overschedule your children, but you can also underschedule both yourself and your children.
Give them time to breathe.
Yeah, give them time to breathe. Give yourself time to breathe. But think about how much time are you spending doing nonsense stuff, like a game on your phone or in front of the TV watching Netflix, or because like just the other day my daughter was saying, oh, I don't watch that much TV, but I feel like I'm getting behind, right? And it's like, because like she'll hear people talking about these different series or watching this, that, or the other thing.
And she would rather spend time doing other things than watching TV.
Yeah.
So okay, yes, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying.
But at the same time, sometimes you go on Netflix. Correct me if anyone else has not felt this, but if you felt it, let us know. When I go on Netflix, I'll have, you know how you have your list, right, of things that you plan on watching. And then I look at my list and it's just along, you know. And it's like, hey, I got my tongue back.
Ooh, you got your tongue back. Yay! Freezing's done.
Not quite, my nose is still frozen. But
It's got to be a weird feeling.
yeah, it's like just for the
Just
little
for that right here.
mustache and the nose nostrils right at the beginning. That's still kind of meh. But
No.
but like the fact that my list is that long, and sometimes I'll get on there and go, oh my god, I got to get some of these things cleared off my list. Like, why am I looking at like it's a chore? You know, like
You do it, you don't, you don't. Like,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Think of it as books. If you don't finish it, you don't finish it.
yeah, exactly.
I don't
And
even-
what am I gaining by watching Bridgerton? Although it's a great series, I will not debate that. It
We're
is-
not debating whether or not it's a great series. We just don't always have time for it.
Yeah, and would I be better off practicing? Like, I took up violin a few years ago. I haven't picked it up in probably over a year.
Was that like a COVID project?
Just before COVID, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and you know, I've got a violin that I could be practicing on. Apparently, it's supposed to be the hardest instrument outside of the French horn.
Well, I mean, you have experience in the French horn, so, you know.
But I always seem to pick the hard ones. My sister's like, what's with you and the hard musical instruments?
Do you do that with life too? You're like, here's the way to do things. Here's how it could be easy. Here's Rhonda's way.
Oh my God, that reminds me of Catherine and I were talking about how she always, you know, whenever she does a craft project or a birthday or a party or something, she always overdoes it, like goes that extra mile, right?
She could run a business.
Well, she's like, we talked about it and saying she didn't fall far from the tree,
Yeah.
right? Because she remembers, you know, the Christmas dinners and the Easter dinners and brunches and stuff I would do. And I'm like, yeah, if there's a harder way for us to do something,
That's the way
that,
we're gonna choose.
which doesn't mean harder, just more of challenge
work for
accepted.
you.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So you don't make it easy on yourself.
No,
But I think you also have elevated expectations as well.
and I'm learning to step back from that,
Yeah.
which as an old woman you have to learn
Yeah.
how to do, because you don't have the energy anymore, you know. It's like,
I don't even know if I am going to have the energy as far as like, because I haven't had kids yet. And like, it sounds daunting.
it is like, I can't believe I used to have a catering business. I used to have a spa and salon business. I used to have a roadside bakery business. That
Not all at the same time.
not all at the same time, but I picked hard
Yeah.
things to.
With like lots of labor intensive.
Yeah, like this is easy street for me doing this.
Or just, I wonder how you do this. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, you've done all the other things that are harder. So you're like, this is a cakewalk.
Exactly. It's like,
That makes a lot of sense.
but yeah, that's the hope of the star card. Bringing that light into the darkness of life, knowing that darkness doesn't last forever. Neither does light. It's ever changing.
Well, it's like that pendulum flow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like day into night, right? Yeah, like we have some darkness, we need it. We need the nighttime to sleep. They've proven that dark is better. And then we go back into that day again. We have a good time, you know, enjoy life, and then we go back to dark. And it's always, always changing. And I love the saying of how the sun dies every night for love of the moon.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there is what I can't think of what culture it is. There's a fable or
Oh, a story. Yes.
yeah, where the moon and the sun are lovers and they're destined to follow each
Yeah,
other.
and it's two moons over and one star left or something like that. It's something around that.
We'll have to look that up for you because
Yes.
now I want to know what it says.
Yes.
Um,
I remember reading that story a long time ago. It's not in popular fairy tales like
No.
Snow White and Cinderella
But
and
it's
stuff.
it's definitely and I find it very interesting.
East of the moon and west of the sun or something like that. That's what it is.
Okay, I'll have to look
Yeah.
that up.
And it's a female that goes looking for her lover. And it's one of the stories where the woman is the heroine. In fact, a lot of fairy tales, the woman is the heroine. Sometimes they've switched and changed, though. Like, a lot of people will come up to me and go, oh, I know the Grimm's fairy tales. I'm like, that's
sure.
great. That's part of the modern fairy tale,
Yeah.
not old fairy tales, like really old.
So if you think Grimm's is old, go back further.
Go back further. Their 1812 is definitely darker than their 1819 version.
Well, I mean, I feel like our stories ebb and flow with the societal viewpoints, right?
Yeah.
So, like, Disney kind of really softened a lot of the fairy tales. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Well, like we're bringing them into the children's realm.
Yeah.
And before they were considered tales for all to hear, including adults, because a lot of them were cautionary tales
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, you know, there was also reasons behind, like Charles Perrault is a very famous French fairy tale writer. He put the book originally in his son's name
Okay.
and presented it to the King of France at that point because he wanted his son to be able to get into court and find someone to marry there, right?
Yeah.
But it's another female French fairy tale writer that actually gave us the word fairy tales.
Oh. That's interesting.
Yeah, because before that they were called stories. And they weren't always called fairy stories.
No.
Because if you read fairy tales, there's not a lot of actual fairies in fairy tales.
No.
There's magic, definitely, but not a lot of fairies.
I mean, does that also account for, is it Mother Goose?
Mother Goose?
There's like a realm of tales that belong not belong, but like have been categorized as like Mother Goose.
Yeah, that's a lot of nursery rhymes
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, and Mother Goose is said to be the goddess in hiding because goose, swans, birds of that kind often represented the goddess, even in Catholicism. And I know a lot of people can go, oh, you know, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is represented by a dove, which is the goddess form of God. She came first, by the way.
Oh, we are gonna get so into more of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're into tarot, or if you're into fairy tales and talk of where they came from and things like that, or you want to know more about tarot, or you have any questions for us, pop them in the comments.
Yeah.
And we will check it out and definitely come up with new episodes for you.
Yeah, and we'll answer any of your questions as best we can. We're not, you know, full on experts on everything, but
No, but I feel like together we have a pretty good mash of knowledge.
yeah, this brain
Right here.
is a pretty big brain. All right, well, thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy the full moon when it comes, and hopefully you'll join us next week as well for the next card, whatever that is after the star. I can't think of what it is right now.
Hang on, I can tell you.
Yes. Let's see what's coming up next week.
Oh, I should have had it. I should
And
have had
definitely
it.
subscribe to our channel if you can. Get your friends to subscribe. Check us out on Google. Would love a Google review. I don't know if you can get it from there, but anyways, check us out.
This is the moon.
Oh, the moon. Ooh, the beautiful, beautiful moon.
Beautiful moon. So tune in next week
Yeah.
for our take on the moon.
Yeah, should be good. Bye.
Bye.
I think that's perfect timing because it sounds like
It's almost